All right, let's jump right in. We're going to be talking about Coniah, a king from the Bible whose story, wow, it's this incredible lesson in power, prophecy, and honestly, one of the most fascinating paradoxes you'll ever come across. It's a story all about a broken crown, but a promise that was somehow preserved. 100 days. That's it. Just 100 days. I mean, think about that for a second. That's, what, 3 months? For you and me, that's just a season passing by. For King Coniah, though, that was his entire reign. This super short time on the throne is really the key to understanding the whole drama of his life. And this timeline right here just shows you how fast everything completely fell apart. I mean, look at this. 598 BC, he gets the crown. Barely 3 months go by, and he's already surrendering his capital city. By 597 BC, his life as a king, it's over. He's in exile for life. The sheer speed of this collapse it's just staggering. Okay, so let's set the stage for this, incredibly brief reign. Coniah, and you'll also see his name written as Jehoiachin, he comes to power when he's just 18 years old. He's inheriting the throne from his father, but here's the thing, he is not inheriting some stable, powerful kingdom. No way. He's basically taking the wheel of a ship that's already taking on water. And the reason for all this trouble? Well, it's the unstoppable rise of the Babylonian Empire. The pressure on Judah was just immense. They were trapped. So Coniah inherits a throne that was already, you could say, living on borrowed time. The entire royal line of King David, it was in a state of absolute crisis. Now here's where things get really interesting. See, the political crisis was one thing, but it was matched by a spiritual one. Before Coniah's reign even really had a chance to get off the ground, a divine judgment had already been declared against him by the prophet Jeremiah. It's like his fate was already sealed before he even sat on the throne. And this is that verdict. Just listen to the finality in these words from Jeremiah chapter 22. Write this man childless, a man who shall not prosper in his days, for none of his descendants shall prosper, sitting on the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah. Wow. I mean, that is an absolute total shutdown of his entire royal future. But hold on. What does childless actually mean here? Because it's not what you probably think. And this is a really crucial point. The curse wasn't that he couldn't physically have children. We actually know that he did. It was a symbolic curse. It meant that none of his heirs, none of his kids or their kids, would ever hold royal power from the throne in Jerusalem ever again. His royal line was, for all intents and purposes, suspended. And this really gets to a core idea in the whole story. This prophecy was a super stark reminder that the covenant God made with David's line, it was conditional. See, just being born into the right family wasn't a blank check. Without justice, without faithfulness, that promise of the throne could be, and in this case would be, taken away. So, with that prophecy just hanging over his head, the political reality comes crashing in. King Nebuchadnezzar II and the massive Babylonian army show up right at the gates of Jerusalem. The hammer, as they say, was about to fall. And the sequence of events was just swift and brutal. First, the siege. The Babylonians surround the city, cutting it off completely. Then, seeing there's no way out, Coniah surrenders. He capitulates. And finally, the exile. This is that moment in 597 BC where Judah loses its independence and Jeremiah's prophecy is fulfilled right down to the letter. And just look at who was taken in this first wave. This wasn't just about removing the king. No, Nebuchadnezzar was smart. He strategically deported the entire leadership structure. We're talking the royal family, all the officials, even the skilled craftsmen. It was a calculated move to basically decapitate a nation and stop any immediate rebellion from popping up. So just like that, his reign is over. But his story? Oh, it's not done yet. Not by a long shot. For the next several decades, Coniah would live in Babylon, not as some king in waiting, but as a living, breathing symbol of God's judgment and Judah's failure. I mean, just look at this contrast. It's night and day. He goes from ruling from a throne to living under guard, from commanding an entire nation to receiving daily food rations, from holding sovereign power to being a political pawn for a foreign king. This right here really captures the complete and total humiliation that was decreed in that prophecy. And you know what? We know this isn't just a story from a book. We actually have extra biblical evidence for this. Archaeologists have found Babylonian records, these clay tablets, that list the rations provided to Jehoiachin, king of Judah.
That's him. That's Jehoiachin or Coniah. So history itself confirms the biblical account. He was kept alive, but he never ever ruled again. So the prophecy was fulfilled. He never prospered as a ruler, and none of his sons ever sat on the throne. Case closed, right? End of story. Well, not exactly. And this is where the story takes its most fascinating, most paradoxical turn. Because this raises the critical question. The question that every single person in exile must have been asking. With this curse on Coniah, was this it? Was this the definitive end of the line of King David? Was that promise of a future king from his line now completely null and void? And in one sense, the answer was yes. The prophecy was fulfilled. The dynasty's active rule from Jerusalem was over, finished. No descendant of Coniah ever sat on that throne again. The judgment was real, and it was final. But, and this is the key to the whole thing, the judgment didn't cancel the promise. The promise was just preserved. The royal authority was suspended, yeah, but the family line itself was not completely cut off. And this chart here shows us exactly how. If you look in the New Testament, in the Gospel of Matthew, you'll see the genealogy of the Messiah being traced all the way back. And right there, in Matthew chapter 1, verse 12, whose name do we see? The exiled king Coniah. The cursed king, the royal failure, he becomes a crucial link in the chain leading directly to Jesus. The line continued through him, even when the throne was long gone. So we're left with this. Coniah's story really forces us to grapple with a pretty profound question. What does it mean for a divine promise to be suspended because of failure, but somehow not entirely broken? His life is really the ultimate example of judgment and preservation existing side by side. It's a powerful reminder that even in exile, even in failure, the story wasn't over.